All right. I think we are live. Okay. Happy Sunday, everybody. I actually think it's the first day of spring. I might be wrong, but I think it's
It
the
is
first.
the first day of
Okay.
spring.
It's the first day of
Okay.
spring.
Yay.
So,
Woohoo.
yes. So, welcome to Women on Words, the show where we talk life, love, and literature. I'm author Sierra London, and my co host is author Jackie Renee. Hey, Jackie.
Hi.
Hey,
Happy
and right here,
spring day.
Michelle Ingrid. Yes, and you look so springy, Michelle. I love your colors today.
My goal was originally to match the book with the yellow, with the orange and stuff.
Ooh.
Kind of
You
like
did.
Yeah,
I
you
was like,
did.
let me veer off into spring because this book is not spring.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm wearing sprinkles today. I got sprinkles. Look at
Okay.
Yay.
the camera.
I just went black and white. Sorry.
Okay.
We not
Yeah,
mad.
I know. You got the assignment. You delivered, Michelle. Thank you. Okay.
Woohoo.
Well, we are here to talk about our latest book for the Backlist Book Club. Michelle has the book in hand, and the title is This Close to Okay by Lisa Cross Smith. So, as usual, I'm going to start with just reading the back cover copy, and then we're going to jump right into it. Now, I'm going to say this up front. This book has trigger warnings, okay?
Yeah.
Several trigger warnings. Elisa Lessa, I might be saying her name wrong, but she delves into issues of infertility,
Mhm.
suicide, infidelity. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, and the themes continue throughout the book. So I just
Mhm.
want to, yeah, I just want to let you know that up front. So here we go. And this is her debut novel, I believe. I think so. Okay, let me get going. Okay. It says on a rainy October night in Kentucky, recently divorced therapist Tallie Clark is on her way home from work when she spots a man precariously standing at the edge of a bridge. Without a second thought, Tallie pulls over and jumps out of the car into the pouring rain. She convinces the man to join her for a cup of coffee, and he eventually agrees to come back to her house where he finally shares his name, Emmett. Over the course of the emotionally charged weekend that follows, Tallie makes her mission to provide a safe space for Emmett, though she hesitates to confess that this is also her day job. What she doesn't realize is that Emmett isn't the only one who needs healing, and they both are harboring secrets. Okay, I
Wait,
know,
can I
right?
say something really quick? Because
Please do.
Michelle, Michelle, your whole your face is telling everything, but I want you to know the whole time I was listening to this book, your voice was in my ear the entire time.
You
I
must
knew
have been
exactly.
listening in as I was reading this
Yes,
book too.
yes. Okay, so I'm
I
gonna
brought
start.
a glass of wine today because I
I
needed
saw
it.
that. Look, I got my lunchtime flask right here. There's no telling what's in it. So
Okay, so I guess I might as well tell you guys I got something in here too.
all right, so let's start
Woo!
here. So the opening of this book the author really gives it away in the back cover copy. So Tallie Clark is riding along, minding her own everyday business when she sees a man who the reader comes to know as Emmett at the edge of the bridge. And for her, she notices that a lot of people not stopping,
Mhm.
and she takes it upon herself to stop. And she stops and she approaches Emmett. And from there, she's actually able to strike up a conversation with a man who's literally on the edge between life and death. So let's just start there. From the opening scene, what was your first take on Tallie Clark's actions before you knew anything about her professional background? I want to start with you, Michelle, because you got that, like, I got a look on your face. Even though you got on your spring colors, I'm feeling a fall mood.
So my first thoughts were, okay, this is bold. And my second thoughts were, why the hell you ain't dialing 911? That was
Okay.
my main first thought.
Okay.
I thought it was a bold move to say, I'm going to try to talk somebody down off of a bridge and
Yes.
to not, she didn't try to wave anybody down. She didn't dial 911. She jumps into action. And I kept thinking, this could go a lot of places. This could go a whole lot of places. I will
agree.
fully say without going any further, I didn't expect it to go where it did.
Okay, that's fair enough. Jackie, what was your take on the opening with our heroine being the hero right off the? Okay,
Actually, I was proud of her because, like you said, everybody drove past. Like no one stopped to say, "Hey, are you okay?" She was that person to be like, "Is everything okay?" And sometimes, just that communication, "Are you okay?" could make a difference in somebody's choice.
Yes.
Of obviously this person was feeling dark, was in a dark place.
Yes.
And
Yes.
no one stopped. And yes, it was raining. So was the rain what deterred people from stopping?
Yeah.
Where was the humanity in anybody that just drove past? So I was proud of her. I was proud of the fact that she stopped and asked, "Hey, are you okay?"
Yes. I was too. I actually like the way the author had the heroine present on the page as a hero, like right up front. I have seen a situation where someone has actually been on the bridge, on the Coronado Bay Bridge when we lived in California. And I remember how fast my heart was beating, even though I couldn't see everything, but to know what was going on.
Yeah.
So in some ways, I kind of put myself in Tallie's spot, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what must she be feeling to see this and then make this split-second decision? Because even the cover copy says she didn't hesitate. Like this split-second decision to jump into action and try to rescue this person, and then to have it be as successful as it was. So we're gonna keep rolling right on. So Michelle mentioned, like, I didn't expect it to go where it went. So Tallie was able to, thank goodness for smartphones, because she introduced a little music to the scene. She's like, "Do you like music? Like, I got a song for this." Like, you know, like, but I mean, music can be healing.
Yes,
So
it can.
yeah, so she plays this song, and the hero at the time, like Emmett, he likes it, and so they start this dialogue. And she was like, "I could like take you for a cup of coffee." So this is an interesting decision. Let me just say that. So for anybody out there that's picking up this book for some therapeutic tips, don't. Okay. Don't do it. Because this is kind of a step away from the expected. So, Jackie, I'm going to start with you. What were your thoughts when Tallie went from "we on the bridge in the pouring rain, you about to jump" to "hey, I know the best little coffee spot"?
Well, it to me it just showed her character. Like, yes, you are in crisis. I'm going to be your friend. And what does a friend do when you are in crisis? They take you out for a drink. I mean, they offer you something to drink. So instead of alcohol, she because most friends, they say, "Hey, come on, let's go for drinks." She did something that is that could be meaningful, like a cup of coffee, kept it casual, but still offering to be a friend, offering that friendship. So I thought, that's how I felt about that situation. But taking him for a cup of coffee, yes, I kind of expected that of her
Okay.
because of the way that she, stepped into the scene to talk him down from the bridge.
Okay. Okay. Michelle, your lips, they thinner. They what? What are you thinking?
Okay. So she takes this gentleman for a cup of coffee. She wants to
Uh-huh.
show herself. But I want you guys to recognize how kind a person our friend Jackie is when she talks about her being kind, because she then proceeded to search his pockets and steal his
Well,
mail. So he gets up, they go, she orders coffee. She even orders like her favorite piece of pastry. He goes to the bathroom and she starts rifling through his jacket, looking through his stuff. And because she can't do it fast enough, she proceeds to steal 2 pieces of mail that he has been working on. And she stuffs them into her bag so that she can process this information later. And then she proceeds to start this therapy session. Now, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to ask forgiveness for saying this. If a lady named Tallulah Clark, Tallie Clark in Kentucky stops you and says, I'm a therapist and I would like to help you, run. This is one of the most unethical people that I have ever met. I mean, honestly, this the therapist that might drive some people to that bridge.
So
well,
I must say, I thought it was an interesting spin. I'll just say that. I'm not a trained therapist, so I don't know how often you therapists go through our things when we laying on the couch or we go to the bathroom. I honestly don't know. But I thought it was a little unconventional, her approach to getting to know Emmett better, by going through, like, I'm taking him for coffee and now I'm going to rifle through his things. I thought it was unconventional, but I must say I was interested to see what she would do with the information. I was a little intrigued to find out. I'm like, okay, girl, not something I would do, but I'm interested to see from a therapeutic standpoint what you're going to do with this information. So, for those of you all who are new to the page, we are discussing This Close to Okay by Lessa Cross Smith. And they are really only this close.
Well, now in Tallie's defense, remember he would not tell her his name or
Yes.
anything like that. So, of course, I would expect her to rifle through his bag to find out his name because she kept asking. Yeah, but she kept asking, she asked him if he had a family or friends, and he said he had a friend, right? And he was like, and she was like, here, do you want to call your friend? But because he would not give her any information, I would expect her to rifle through his things. If I was a therapist, and I'm not, I probably would have rifled through his things too, just to find out who he is and maybe contact someone that he was close to, like that friend he said he had.
Okay. I think some like cricket legs or clacking or tapping. I don't know what it is. But so Jackie, it sounds like in some ways you felt like maybe Tallie was justified in her initial breach of this budding trust between her and Emmett, considering how they met.
Yes and no. Yes, if she was trying to get his name and find a phone number,
Okay.
but the fact that she found these pieces of paper, she did not find when she kind of opened them up and didn't see like a phone number or anything. Yeah, she kept those pieces of paper. So yeah, that's when she stepped a little over the line.
Okay. Okay.
For me.
Okay. Okay. I could buy that. I hadn't considered that. I know for me, and maybe it's the way I was raised, right? Blame everything on your mama. But I guess I'm not comfortable with people going through my things without asking me. And so I was, after meeting this heroine who I considered heroic up front, I was a little disappointed in Tallie's actions. But Jackie, I'm willing to consider your point of view in saying that, okay, I met this man while he was on the edge between life and death. He won't really give me his name or tell me anything about him. He left me with his little knapsack, his little hobo bag. Perhaps I'll go through it, see if there's any erasers, sharp objects in there that I need to remove. But I just found these 2 letters with these ladies' names in it, so I just take those instead. So okay,
Right.
all right.
That's when when she decided to keep those letters. That's when she stopped being a professional. But
Okay.
on a professional level, yeah, going through his bag just to make sure there was nothing in there that he could continue to harm himself with, or to find his name and a phone number, somebody she can call and say, hey, this person is about to jump off. I found him and he was about to jump off of a bridge. So on a professional
Yeah.
side, yeah, she did what she needed to do.
Okay. Okay. So I will say this about this author. She is a very skilled writer. She brings to us a very unique storyline with actions both on the part of the hero and the heroine that are unexpected. And so moving right through the setup of this book, this is going to be my final question on this. By the end of this coffee shop little escapade and the whole letters and taking them, Tallie goes a step further to tie herself to the man known as Emmett and invites him home. Now, I was listening to this book with my husband, and his first question is she black? So he was a little taken aback. Like we were with her, like lockstep, and he was like, wait a minute. Did she just invite him home? Okay, ladies, let's get real. You out in the car, you singing along to Backstreet Boys, or in Tallie's case, maybe a Harry Potter song or something a little bit older, and you come across a young man standing on the bridge, little freckles on his nose, little dreadlocks swept to the side, and you decide to stop. You invite him for coffee because he's so nice in that initial meeting, and you like him so much, you invite him home. Where we go from here, Michelle?
So y'all know I like to watch ID, right? And all I kept thinking is this is the story before the body is found. First of all, she should have called 911. This man should be in a hospital or a facility where professionals could try to help him. She should be visiting him. And I felt like she thought, I got plans for the weekend and I know I should visit this man I've rescued off of the bridge. I'll just take him home and this way I could do a 2-for-1 split.
Just watching from the couch.
It's right. Instead of asking him into a facility where someone might make sure that he does not harm himself and then having to drive over there every day of the weekend. Cause she had a party. She had plans.
Yes.
So first of all, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to ask the respect of our listeners. We have all read those mysteries with the unreliable narrator.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them, your narrator is unreliable. There's the one where the narrator is so blackout drunk that she doesn't remember the things that happened, or the one where the narrator just straight out is lying to you about a situation until halfway through the book when she tells you, I've been lying to you. Here's the real story. I felt from the very beginning of this book as though this character was gaslighting me because I did not understand on any level why someone who calls themselves a professional, who sits themselves down in front of clients in need of help, would allow themselves to go into such an inappropriate stance with someone. I'm just thinking about this as just Michelle thinking about this. Granted, I am from New York.
Yeah.
We don't just, New Yorkers are nice in a way, but they are also very much distant in a way. You don't just invite the random person into your home that you're not sure of. And least of all, invite someone into your home who has risked harming themselves. Because what if something had happened to him in that house? How would she have explained that? She barely knew his first name. What if something had happened to her in that home? How would she have explained that to the authorities? And so I kept thinking that this book was asking me to dispel a lot of what I know to be correct. And it was asking me to take on a level of disbelief that I was not comfortable with as a reader, as a woman. And I get it. I did not grow up in the same space that this character grew up in. This character obviously grew up in a small town where everyone is very kind to one another, and you allow a stranger in and you look after that stranger. And if you save someone's life, you're responsible for it forever. I did not grow up there. So I honestly, for the majority of this book, even as the story moved forward, I had a great deal of difficulty going along with this character because I did not trust her, because I didn't trust her as an appropriate professional in terms of someone's mental health and care.
Okay.
I'm going to say that.
Okay. Jackie?
Well, I agree, Michelle. It was really difficult for me to really connect with Tallie as a professional. Yeah, I get that you wanted to help this person, and I get that, you know, you are a licensed therapist, but you did not follow what a practicing licensed therapist would do. Now, like I said, I'm not a therapist. I do not know all the particulars of being a licensed therapist and what your obligations are, your legal obligations are to your clients. But on some level, I just felt like Tallie did not follow what she promised to do in her profession.
Okay.
Because that man needed to be under 24-hour watch in a facility. And he already said he needed to take medication. She just took him at his word that it was an antihistamine, right? But later on down the line, we find out that he takes beta blocker.
Yeah, that is true. So you both bring up a very interesting point that plays out with both the characters in the book, and that's where you were raised and how you were raised. So geography as well as like family dynamics. So you mentioned, Michelle, about Tallie's family, and she grew up in relative affluence. And then you contrast that with the man that we know as Emmett, who grew up in a small town that still has some remnants of maybe like you belong with your people, and you know your wife, we're talking about his wife, belongs with her people, and like you two being together is not something that the town, like, we look upon with suspicion. So what role did literally like geography and community play in this story for you as we learn more about these two characters and the choices that they've made and how they're even seen or perceived in their own communities? Like, I think that has something to do with why these two people actually connected on that bridge. Michelle?
Oh, I'm sorry. So yeah, you got the feeling that they both came from like similar backgrounds. And I think we should also tell the audience, those who may have not read the book yet, this Tallie is recently divorced after a 10-year marriage in which her husband Joel not only cheated, but got his mistress pregnant and is now married to that woman and has a child. And during their marriage, Tallie was dealing with major infertility. We're talking numerous rounds of IVF treatments, attempting to get married. I mean, attempting to get pregnant with a child that she and Joel desperately wanted. And so we now have a woman who I'm going to categorize her, as much as she has a very a life with people, I'm categorizing her as lonely. This
Yes.
character is 40 years old. I mean, there's enough that you're dealing with the emotional state of your life at 40. And then
Right.
she's 40, she's infertile, her husband has left her, and now he is married to the woman that he cheated on her with and has a child with. So he is, and she's struggling with the idea that he has created a life in Montana.
Mhm.
He's
With a
created
ponytail.
with a ponytail,
Yes,
his new
with a
ponytail. He's created a life that doesn't include her, but has all the remnants of the things that she wanted, minus the horse in Montana.
Yes.
And so she is struggling already to deal with those things. And now we are also dealing with a woman who she lives alone. She's got this off and on sexual partner that asked her to marry him when they were in college, and she said no. And she settled on Joel. And she is struggling with feeling as though she doesn't know whether or not the things that the fact that she was in IVF for so many treatments, if that caused the end of her marriage and caused her husband to stray. So this is a character who is already in a great, like, she is the perfect example of why therapists have to have therapists.
Yes.
So she is struggling.
I agree. I see these two people as being so alone and isolated in their own communities. Like Tallie talks about her friends and family, and there's a best friend that we never
We
really
never meet.
like how you pick up some man on a bridge and bring him home, but we never see your girlfriend, your best friend, like up in your house.
Says so much.
It does. It speaks volumes. And then with Emmett, he's, got married in the same town he grew up in. But yet, when he and his wife hit this terrible spot in their lives, he has absolutely no support. And yes, these are two people are very low. But Jackie, what's your take on it?
Okay, so yes, they grew up, in different environments. But I think the reason why they connected was because they were both grieving on some level.
There you have it.
And so maybe unconsciously, Tallie invited him home because of she recognized the fact that he was grieving, and he recognized the fact that she was grieving.
I agree.
And I think that's why initially, he communicated with Tallie's ex-husband. And for all of you who have not read the book yet, yes, Emmett, and we learn his name once he gets to her house,
Yes.
Emmett. He takes it upon himself. First, he gives her permission to use her laptop,
which is crazy.
Exactly. Especially knowing that this is the laptop that you use for work.
But she let him use it.
But she let him use it. Okay, so that's why I said, she did not follow the legal things that therapists are supposed to do. So, but anyway, he creates this fictitious username to communicate with Tallie's ex-husband. Now, in a way, all the things that Tallie wanted to ask Joel, her ex-husband, but could not bring herself to ask him, Emmett did for her and got those answers for her.
Right.
So I think that the reason, like I said, the reason why they connected was because on some level, they both were grieving, but just for different reasons.
Yes.
Emmett knew why he was grieving. Tallie did not recognize the fact that she too was grieving and could not let go. So maybe he was there to help her. Well, in a way, he did. He helped her let go of Joel, the ideal of Joel.
Yeah, I definitely feel like for me, as we move deeper into the story and we get to Tallie's home, and Tallie starts to disclose so much about her herself personally to this stranger. And I feel like there's almost a role reversal that happens very early on in this story, where Joel is like a pseudo therapist for Tallie. He's someone outside of that world, not the best friend, not the family, where everybody knows what happened between Tallie and Joel, but this complete stranger. And where Emmett is on the physical edge, and men, even when you talk about issues like suicide, men tend to be more, demonstrative. So he's on this physical edge of life and death. But Tallie's very much on an emotional edge of life and death, right? She really hasn't moved on. And so she welcomes Joel into her home and proceeds to tell him her own tragic story that Michelle recounted for us, not being able to have this baby she wants so bad with the husband that she does love. And then to find out that he's cheating, and maybe everybody knew it except her. And, and you learn that even someone in her family knew it, but because she was going through IVF, like, decided, well, I won't tell her that her husband is cheating with this other woman trying to make a baby while she's trying to make a baby with her husband. So I very much felt that way, that they both were on the edge. And they both were acting as each other's therapists. I do think it's interesting that the author, in inviting Emmett into the home, that Emmett takes it upon himself in retaliation for Tallie taking his letters, because he did see her. So I'll just say that she ain't James Bond, y'all. He saw her. He saw her go through his bag and taking
his jacket pockets.
Yes, I'm sorry. But yes, she saw him going. He saw her going through his things. And so in retaliation, he very calmly and very deliberately asked to use her computer. And she allows it. And he proceeds to create a fake email account and email her husband on her behalf, pretending to be her, and starts to ask all the questions that Tallie is asking of herself. So this part I'm going to jump forward, because how did you all feel about the tools that the author used to reveal more and more about these characters to us? Like, there's so much that we learn about Joel, not from Joel, or not from Tallie, but in the email responses that he sent back to Emmett, who was pretending to be Tallie. I thought it was brilliant, but I just thought it was interesting to do so much of a character reveal that way. Did that resonate with you all at all?
I was shocked. I was shocked that is how we learned the real Joel, because everything we knew about Joel, we saw from Tallie's point of view. All the things wrong with him, right? But when he starts responding to these emails, I'm like, well, maybe there's a little more to Joel than what Tallie really understood or really knew. Even in, I think it was the first or second replies, he said he almost split himself, right?
I know.
Yeah. So we learn a lot about Joel from Joel, and not necessarily from Tallie. The real Joel we learn in writing. And it's funny how for some people, you may not be able to verbally communicate, but in writing, because that person is not right there in your face, you can let go and be real in writing. And I think that's what Joel did.
Yes, it's almost like he was waiting for this opportunity to
Mhm.
connect with her on this level in a way that Tallie had never allowed before. And she
Mhm.
was really trying to put her best foot forward, y'all, and pretend that she was okay. And I think it's something that women struggle with. And she's a therapist, yet she is struggling to unpack her own flaws and demons and baggage. And to see Emmett start this process for her, I thought was it's brilliant on the part of the author. It's something that I
Mhm.
haven't seen done before. Michelle's lips, they got small again and her eyes narrowed. I don't know what to say. So go ahead, Michelle. I'm interested to hear her take.
Joel is a piece of shit. I'm gonna start there. So, okay.
Okay. All right. I ain't trying to get that
There's
Joel
no
trying to
And let me
say.
denying
say
that.
this about Joel. I know Joel's. I've dated Joel's.
Okay.
I was actually the product of a Joel who did have the baby with the wife before he went off with the mistress. So let me say this about Joel. Joel is a piece of shit who is looking for excuses to explain the fact that he is a piece of shit, that he's a big, nasty, stinky piece of shit. I'm sorry. Trigger warnings for my language here. Trigger warnings for the fact that I am going to call this man outside of his name, and trigger warnings for the fact that we may have to go into a few extra spoilers here. That man, that man who we find out moved in with the woman that he was cheating with
There was that.
before the ink was dry on his divorce, when his wife found out that he was cheating, and then turns around and says it was a mistake. No, your dick ending up there was never a mistake, and it sure as hell wasn't a mistake after you left your wife's home and decided I'm gonna move in with the woman that I've been stripping for the whole time.
And
So
then
the whole life, huh?
Odette.
Oh, I remember her name, but I'm gonna try not to say bad words today. Another thing is, oh, the Odettes of the world. Okay, we'll use her name. The Odettes of the world walk around like, we are happily married, but they never put on their Facebook profiles, I'm the one that was screwing with the married man who shouldn't have been screwing with me. And the truth is, I feel like I won. There are no prizes to be won with Joel. Joel is a hot mess because Joel still wants to be friends. Let us say it loud together, ladies. Let the church say amen. Do not be friends with a man that cheated on you like that, who embarrassed you, who strung your feelings out and your emotional pain and all the stress that your body was being put through so that you could try to have his baby so that he could run off with somebody else, strip her up and get her pregnant quickly, and then want salvation from you. Let us together say amen to the church. Let us stop giving salvation to the devil's handyman. Because the truth of the matter is, the only thing that Joel offered is the fact that he feels guilty, not just because of what he did, but because he got caught. So,
Yeah.
excuse me as I take a sip of my wine and say F Joe, because Joel is a piece of shit.
All righty then. Um, anything else?
I am so offended by the fact that he came back with that. Can we still be friends?
I
No,
know.
we can't be friends. We were friends. We were friends when we were laying down together for those 10 years, being husband and wife, trying to have this baby. We are not friends while you are laying in her bed trying to be nice to me. Maybe if you thought that you should be nice to me as well as be my partner and the person that I love, we wouldn't be in this situation. God bless Pearl. Children don't ask to be brought here under these circumstances. But I was offended by the fact that he thought that he could just talk nice. And I
Yeah.
was very much glad when I found out that she had blocked his phone. Now, spoiler alert, friends, our girl goes into his Facebook account because she still has the password. So she goes in the back door and looks at his Facebook account from the inside. And we find out, spoiler alert, later, he knows.
He wants it.
That to me is even another level of the destructive manipulation that this man has been playing on this woman for what, 3 years, the 2 years he was cheating, the barely 1 year that he's been divorced and already has a new baby. Yeah, I don't have kind words to say about Joel. And
Okay.
honestly, I'm going to tell you this. Emmett, I got a lot of problems with Emmett. First of all, this character, that she doesn't even come off as 40 years old. She feels very much like a child, a lost child, a lost child in a place where she is watching fantasy movies trying to make herself feel better. This child doesn't need to be in therapy. She needs more help than this book could offer her or Emmett could offer her. I'm
Okay.
gonna stop here.
Okay. All right. Okay. We got about 20 minutes left in the show. What questions do you all have? All right, y'all. Whatever you do, do not like Joe with the ponytail. Liz in Montana with the horse and Odette. Okay. Questions. What questions do you all have, Michelle?
Okay, I'm afraid that this book leaves it very difficult for me to avoid the spoilers. So if you have an issue with the spoilers before reading this book, this is your place to pause before you come back. So I'm going to count it down 3, 2, 1. All right, I'm going to ask the question. Okay. So ladies, I have a question for you. When it was revealed what Emmett, real person, whatever, what his background story was, and you reprocess that day in the rain, did that at any time ring true to you? What happened between him and the cop? First of all, ladies and gentlemen, she let this man with no license drive her car on at least 2 occasions, and on 3 occasions, and at least on 1, maybe 2 of those occasions, she was intoxicated at the time. So hang on. But I just felt like that interaction, there's an interaction with a police officer. She's buzzed. They were out having a drink and lunch. He's driving home. This is the day after she found this man on the bridge. There's so many red flags for her behavior. But did you find the interaction with the police honest after hearing what his whole story was?
I didn't find it honest when it happened. I didn't. He walks away without a ticket. Without a ticket. Come on now.
And handcuffs.
You're driving around without a license. And just because you get out the car, I'm sorry, spoiler alert, you get out the car and go sit in the police cruiser and have a conversation with a police officer. And then you get back in the car and the police officer, before you get back in the car, the police officer is shaking your hand. Yeah. And you get back in the car with Tallie and drive off.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I would have been like, no.
Took some liberty.
Some?
She did. She took some liberty. So as the story progresses, y'all, and you can see that the author had these characters make very interesting choices that are atypical for, I think, most rational people.
Okay, I'm gonna be clear. These choices are very unclear for Black people. I have never seen a Black man without a license not be at least a little bit concerned that he was being pulled over by a cop. Not even a little bit. That's all right. It's good. A cop that pulls you over because you didn't stop enough at a stop sign and was already in a bad mood.
Yeah, I have a ticket with my name on it for $360 for doing the same thing in California. So I was offended that Emmett didn't get a ticket because I had to pay mine. But but I agree. So we go from the bridge to the coffee shop to home to them both violating kind of one another's privacy, whether it be with the letters with Tallie and the email with Emmett. And then we find out that Tallie's family, so this is when their community starts to grow, and we start to see a little bit more of what shapes them. Tallie's brother, Lionel, who is, I would say, the good son. Like everything seems to be perfect in Lionel's life. You know, he's wealthy and he has friends and he throws a Halloween party every year. And, you know, the movers and shakers of their community, they come. And Tallie invites Emmett to go to the Halloween party. Again, another, to me, one of those fault lines that shows the type of stress this woman is under. and how alone she feels in the world, that you kind of cling to this stranger who's barely clinging to his own, existence, and you're sucking him into your world. So again, like you see the vulnerability of this character even more in this action. But she invites him to a Halloween party, and he says yes. And so she's kind enough to give him her husband's old clothes to put on because she still has them in the house. And so he's dressed in Joe's clothes, and they go out and they're looking for costumes. And I thought it was interesting, and we're gonna jump to the Halloween party and what happens there. But I thought it was interesting that the author had these two characters dressed as a duo. What did y'all think about that? Like, we super friends, right? Like Wonder Woman, Superman, Scully, Mulder. Like, what did you think about you just meeting someone and then you invite them to a party? I get that. That happens all the time. People meet at parties, but you're all deciding to dress complimentary, like as a duo. Did that strike you as another one of those like red flags about our therapist and her patient?
Yeah, because to me, it put them in that couple category.
Yes.
Couple,
Coupled up.
pair up like that. Yeah. And
Yes,
so,
it did.
like, okay, so when they were at the costume shop and trying to decide on a costume, and they were like, okay, well, Tallie, 'cause it was Tallie's idea, was like, okay, we'll be Mulder and Scully from X-Files. And we all, if you didn't watch X-Files, if that's towards the end, Mulder and Scully became a couple.
I know. I know. I
So
think
to me, I was like, okay, so is this a romance? Are these two going to get together? Is this like the setup for them to get together?
that's the same
I
thing
don't
I
know.
said. That's the same thing I said. I was like, oh my gosh, this author just put them together. I mean, it's subtle. It's
Mhm.
subtle. But I'm like, now she's pivoting this storyline. And are these two getting ready to be romantically involved? And it was so subtle how she did it. I was like, oh my
Because
goodness.
actually,
Okay.
it started with the hand holding though, on the
Yes.
way to what I think was on the way to lunch or whatever. I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
But then when they make that decision for the costumes, I'm okay, so they're gonna get together.
Okay,
So,
Michelle.
so
I
I called
see it.
Sierra and I told Sierra that the relationship I was interested in was the one with her and Nico. I was like, this is the romance that I think I want to read about. That's what I told her, because she introduces us, on top of her being with this guy that she is duoing herself up with. And wasn't she already imagining having sex with him at this point? So yeah, for her to suggest that did not feel like an accident at all. She was already imagining what his grunts would feel like. So no. And then honestly, I was so curious because she throws in the mention of this guy named Nico, who she has dated in the past. They were boyfriend and girlfriend. He got married and then he got divorced. She's been having like amazing, crazy, off the walls sex that she at one point describes like a good Target run, where you get everything that you need exactly where you need it, and there was some good stuff on clearance that you also got to go home with. And I'm like, okay, send the homeless guy home. I mean, this homeless guy home, and tell me the story about Nico. I'm like, Nico talks to her in Dutch. I mean, any other book, that's the romance I really wanted to be reading about. So that was a distraction for me. And then to have her being like, yeah, I'm gonna take this guy to the Halloween party. And I'm like, but Nico gonna be there. So I'm not gonna lie, I got distracted because honestly, I thought this character needs a strong man. She obviously didn't have one with Joel. This gentleman was just a step away from jumping off of a bridge. And Nico seemed to be like the only person in this story who could be like, this is what I want. I want her. I've wanted her for a long time. I did get married. I got divorced. She got married. I respected that. And when she got divorced, I decided to rock the heck out of her world regularly so I could let her know, hey, I am very interested in you. So I found myself quite a bit distracted. I thought it was weird that she was like teaming herself up with this guy in this duo costume. But honestly, I couldn't wait for Nico to show up.
Okay.
Well, it makes me wonder then, do you think Tallie is, although attracted to Nico, she connects herself with unstable men?
Somebody who needs
Those
help.
are the ones that she really give herself to,
They
because
make her feel strong.
yeah, because even I forget what part of the book it was where she said she was always like the peacemaker in the family. So being the one who has to be stable as a peacemaker, maybe it was the instability in the men that she gave herself.
I'm not laughing at you. I was thinking about her mother, Judith.
Words.
I'm sorry. I was thinking about her mother, Judith, when you said that, because Judith is like my favorite side character in this book.
When he met her,
Judith, who was constantly chewing on
I
nicotine
was
gum,
cracking up the whole time. Every scene with Judith, I love.
Judith doesn't go to the Halloween party because she don't want to see her husband and his new wife, of 15 years or something crazy.
They alternate.
She's not new anymore. That's the point.
Funny.
She's not new. The wife ain't new.
No, she's like 20 years in.
Yes,
and she's like, I want no part of this.
Yeah.
That's my favorite character. She chew, like, I love the fact this character is constantly chewing nicotine gum. So, but she's thinking, maybe I should have just started smoking again. And then something happens in the book, and she's like, and just like that, I'm smoking again. And she's outside with a cigarette. She's my favorite character. That lady deserves her own book. She's hilarious. I read her book.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Judith is fantastic.
I found Judith to be funny too. Yeah, I loved her.
Judith, love her.
Yes,
love her.
Yes, she's a fabulous character. So as we move towards the end of the book, so at the Halloween party, we have, this is where revelations start to happen in the book. And they just tumble like dominoes. That was a little distracting for me because it was like revelation after revelation after revelation after, going through the book for quite a bit of time trying to figure out all the pieces. And we find out, so Lionel, God bless him, he get burned up, y'all, at his own Halloween party. I have no idea why this author chose to set this poor man on fire.
Wearing a Sasquatch suit.
Standing near a fire pit.
Standing near a fire. I mean, it's like an Eddie Murphy joke. I'm like, but anyway, her beloved brother Lionel, who we hear about from the very beginning of the book. So I know he was going to come strong on the page. I just didn't know he was going to drop flaming and rolling in the grass.
He was going to be the trigger for these revelations, basically.
Yes.
I wasn't expecting it. Okay.
Yes. So
you are right, Jackie.
Yes. And that, again, this author uses really unique tools, devices to reveal information to the reader. Like, it blew me away. I'll just say it's something I haven't seen before, and it kept me going in the story just to see, even more so than the storyline, but just to see how the author was using this particular device. So anyway, she set beloved Lionel on fire at his own party that he have every year. I'm like, how you get burned up at your own party that you have every year? You know where the fire pit at? But anyway, he catch fire. And the man known as Emmett has to come to the rescue.
He does. He steps up.
He does. And he's very cool and collected. And you wonder right then what type of crisis situation has Emmett been in before.
Yes.
So calm and collected when beloved Lionel catches fire.
Now, can we backtrack just a little bit? For me, whenever Emmett and Tallie were out in public and someone stared at him for too long, That to me was like breadcrumbs.
Something's going on.
Something Emmett is more recognizable, or there's something more to Emmett's story that
Yes.
narratively and in dialogue has still not been revealed. So to me, that just kept it going. But then what
Yes.
happened, even at the party, even at the Halloween party, someone stared at him, like really, really stared at him, like and he even said as if they recognized him.
Yes.
We
So
know.
to me, that was the biggest thing. So when Emmett rescues, Tallie's brother, I knew, okay, it's about to start coming out. Especially,
Yes.
I thought it was going to come out when when Emmett was like leaning down and whispering to Lionel. Like maybe Lionel said, "Hey, I know who you really are." Something something like that. So I thought,
Yeah.
okay, here it
Yeah.
comes.
We
We're about
going
to
over,
find out
fans. We
what.
going
Yeah,
over.
we
Yes.
getting.
Yes.
We know.
We might as well
We
admit
know.
Yes.
we
So
something's yeah.
yeah, so in the hospital, it's amazing. Now, y'all know I love hospital dramas. My first book was a hospital drama because I believe that a lot of junk happened in the hospital, a whole lot of drama. That's why soap operas based in the hospital. So this is no different. A lot of stuff go down in the hospital while beloved Lionel is recovering. So we find out that Lionel is gonna be okay. Joel show up at the hospital.
Joe, who been catching secret emails with Emmett
Yes,
that our fair lady does not even know about.
yes. And wow, oh wow, when we find out that's been happening, because Tallie, this is the most realistic response she had in the whole book. Joe, what you doing here?
And her anger about him being there. Yes,
Yes,
I'm like, okay, you've held on to his clothes, his underwear, everything, his towel. But when you see him in person, yes, that is your reaction, and you're
yes.
angry.
She was
Okay.
angry, angry. And
Mhm.
that's when I knew that this whole, and this book takes place over just a few short days. And
Mhm.
just this very short time that,
3 days.
yes, that she's had with Emmett, she has gone to from holding on to Joel and really wanting to know how he felt about her role in their breakup, which I thought was interesting.
Right, but she's blocked his phone number.
Yes, yes. So she want to know, but she don't want to know.
Mhm.
But to see him, and she even kind of goes through this mentally in his head. Like it's one thing to hold on to you mentally when you've hurt me, but to see you is another thing. And I absolutely loved her reaction. So that's one revelation. Michelle, what was your revelation? What's the next revelation? Because there's several. Which one?
Oh, when then first of all, we have our I don't want to call him the hero. We want to talk about Emmett having this moment when he realizes, oh, I'm sorry, Joel recognizes Emmett for
Yes,
who
he
he
does.
really
Mhm.
is.
His name ain't
And
in
that's
it,
the
y'all.
moment when we realize Emmett has been, Emmett kind of told us, but this is the
Mhm.
full-on revelation that Emmett is an unreliable narrator.
His name is not
Mhm.
in it.
His name's not
Mhm.
Emmett. We won't tell you what it is, but his name is not Emmett. He has been gaslighting us in terms of the secrets that he keeps, and those
Mhm.
secrets kind of open up the hair. Oh, and the heroine mentions on at least one occasion that Joel loves the news and she hates the news. And since Joel left, she does not watch the news,
And
which is why I think Emmett felt so safe with her, because he's like, oh, she don't know nothing. She don't
that's
watch the
right.
news.
Mhm.
Name ain't in it,
Mhm.
and Emmett ain't in it. If she had been watching the news, the man called Emmett was all over the news, and she would have
Yes.
Mhm.
known who that was on
Yes.
that bridge that
Exactly.
she had
Yes.
picked up, and why so many people recognized him, and why the cop let him go even though he didn't have a license. So yes, okay. So you had that revelation about Joel showing up. So she find out that the man called Emmett's been communicating with him. You had the revelation that Emmett ain't Emmett. And then Jackie, what's your revelation? What else did you see?
Oh, well, like I said, I kind of saw that when people were staring at him. Let me see. Because I have that kind of overactive imagination. So things that started happening, breadcrumbs, I was picking up on them. So I didn't really have those revelations like maybe you guys had those revelations. I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
So
I figured out half of it. I'm gonna say that. I figured out half of his story. I was like, I know what happened. I just did not figure out the how of it happening. I knew what happened. I was sure I knew, and I was right. But I hadn't figured out the how, and I hadn't figured out the consequences, which was shocking when I realized them. Even having seen this device used before, I was like, oh, okay. But you know what I wish? And I think Sierra and I talked about this last night. I wish the story had parceled out the shock factor, because we kind of like got through 10, 20, 30, you know, like you're going through the book all this way, and then you get to about 75% of the book and it was like, boom, boom, boom. Like it's like one shock after the other. And I felt like there was very little time to process all of those shocks.
Over.
Yeah, like there was very little time. And then the book backtracks and shows us all these messages that we were aware of already in the book. And then I don't know, I struggled. I honestly thought that I felt like maybe that a good 20 pages at the end could have been like plucked out and thrown away.
Yeah. Well, I will say that the author took us on a very interesting route to get to the end. The literary devices that she used to weave this story together really had me and Mr. Awesome on the edge of our seat going, what's this lady doing? And we were trying to figure it out and how she was going to use it. And I tell you, the way you revealed Joel, author, it was absolutely beautiful. The response that Tallie had when Joel showed up at the hospital, absolutely beautiful. The bombshell that the man known as Emmett, that he knows about Tallie's brother, priceless. That speaks volumes, because when you look at Tallie's family, you see the mother dealing with one aspect of what Tallie went through, and then you see her brother dealing with another aspect of it. And Tallie has both of them aimed at her. And I'm not going to tell y'all what that is, but I want you to read and see how the author uses the issues that Tallie's facing and how her individual family members are handling their own pieces of the dual issues that Tallie is facing. Because I think that's important.
And y'all message me directly your thoughts on Joel. We could talk.
Yeah. So I will tell you, this book probably does not end the way you think it's going to end. I'm not going to tell you. Michelle wants to, but we're not going to, because we want you to go.
You know, I'm saying I kind of wanted it to pseudo end the way it ended.
Yes. So this close to okay was this close to pissing me off at the end.
But it's if you're looking for a book for your book club to discuss and like lots of issues, pick this book up. You guys will have days of stuff to talk about.
Lots and lots to talk about. Even more so with all the bombshells that come out in the end when you find out who the man called Emmett really is and what he's been through that leads him to that bridge. It's going to blow you away. And when you look at his relationship with Tallie continues to evolve after kind of the darkest moment in the book. So I do want you to look at that. And I want you to look at and have an appreciation for where Tallie gets her happy ending, because she does. And
Yes.
I'm not going to tell y'all because we've dropped enough spoilers.
Yes.
Thank you all so much for joining us for Women on Words for March. Jackie, what's our book for April?
Our book is Loving Man. Loving Man by Bailey Smith.
All right now.
Oh,
Yeah, we definitely want to love a man. All right. So we'll be back. Jackie, now we're coming back on a different Sunday next month, right? Because of the
third Sunday.
Easter and and Good Friday and the holiday. So we'll be here on the 2nd? No, the 4th?
The 4th. So that is the
4th Sunday.
Sunday.
The 4th Sunday of April. So that means you get an extra week to read Loving Man by Bailey West. Because we're taking Easter holiday off, Good Friday, we're taking all of that off. So you get an extra week to read along and join us on the page. So if you haven't, if you're not following Women on Words on Facebook, do that now. Go ahead and click. We're on YouTube as well. So you can subscribe to my Sierra London channel. And I have a new release out in the Savage Bloodline box set. It is a mafia romance, including myself, my story is Corso De Luca, with 19 of my favorite IR author pals. So get the book because this is the last day that it's 99 cents. And it is hot, hot, hot. I'm telling you.
Can't wait now.
I put my whole foot in it. It's so good. Definitely get Corso De Luca today, Savage Bloodline, and it's on all the platforms. So Amazon, Apple Books, Barnes and Noble, Kobo, it's out there. So go get it, 99 cents. You get a book from me, and it's awesome. I'm telling you, it's my spin on a John Wick tale. And you get 19 other books with it for just 99 cents. So until next month, we will see you on the 4th Sunday with Loving Man by Bailey West. So be amazing, be wild. Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for hanging with us.